So if you want to have a child, or if you have a child and you're coming into the UK, this video is for you. Just sit down, watch it, and understand what your fate is about to be. Hi guys, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Faith the Pharmacist. If you are new here, hi, how are you doing? So I'm here today to give you a part 2 of my life changing after I had a baby, my career changing. I made that video and you guys seem to like the concept of the video, but I feel like you wanted a bit more, so I'm here to dish out a little bit more insight, a little bit more tea. So you just want to keep calm, relax, and watch this video. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of this video, if you really like this video, if you watch it and you think someone else needs to see it, please leave me a thumbs up or leave me a comment, or do both. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because it just helps my visibility. If there's anyone that needs this video that probably doesn't know how to access it, your like and your comment will increase the chances of videos like this getting to them. And if you know someone who you want to share it to, feel free to share it to them. So let's get straight into what has changed in my life since having a baby. Honestly, guys, people try to prepare you, but you can never fully be prepared. So just stay tuned, especially living in the UK as an immigrant without any family members living close by. Things got real really quickly, and if you want to know all of that, stay tuned. So if you're new to my channel, you may not already know that I am now a working mom of one. I've recently had a baby who's just turned 1 year old, and I have been back to work for a total of 2 months roughly. I went back to work in the middle of May, so yeah, about 2 months. And guys, nobody prepares you. Let me tell you what I've been through in this short period of time. Okay, I'm going to talk about the financial part, the mental, physical, emotional, the everything. Okay, let's get into it. So if you want to have a child, or if you have a child and you're coming into the UK, this video is for you. Just sit down, watch it, and understand what your fate is about to be, especially when you don't have any family members in the UK. Thankfully, I have a community of friends, but we're all in different seasons of life right now, so we can't even support each other as much. So yeah, things are just, higgy haga, bulabashos. Yeah, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the cost of childcare. Nobody prepares you. Nobody prepares you. So my child's only in nursery for 3 days a week, right? Which means I've had to cut down my hours at work, which means income is obviously less than it used to be. However, this does not mean that childcare does not still cost upwards of 800 to over £1,000, and it's not negotiable. You can't negotiate it unless you want to put your child with a minder who is cheaper, and just know that the less money you pay, the less kind of care your child is going to get. So nurseries cost anything between, per day, roughly about 50 to 60 pounds if you're living outside of London. And if you're living in London, best believe you're going to be paying a good almost £100 per day for nursery for your child. So do the maths and see how much you're going to have to be forking out every month. It is not for the faint-hearted. And when I spoke to my colleagues at work and I'm like, how did you guys cope? They're just telling me, put them with the grandparents. I'm like, grandparents where? Cries in immigrant. Cries in. My parents sent me here to school and they're all the way in Nigeria. But yeah, that's my reality. So yeah, childcare is really expensive. You need to factor that in. And sadly, you can't just leave your child at home, especially if they're really young. I mean, there are rules and there are laws, and I don't know if people don't even speak to each other. I see a lot of people who have recently migrated into the UK having their children taken off of them, because clearly childcare is expensive, but they don't know how to figure out dealing with keeping their child in places where it's acceptable whilst they're going to work or whilst they're going to school and all that good stuff. I think we need to speak to each other more often, because it's so sad when I hear these stories that people are getting their children taken off of them. I'm like, did nobody tell you? Did nobody warn you? How did you get caught? How did you end up in this situation? I can't imagine my child being taken away from me. I will cry. I will cry tears. Oh God, have mercy. I will be so shattered and heartbroken. So I think anybody who's coming to the UK, if you've got a child, my best advice to you will be to come without that child to start with. It's going to be difficult because of the separation. However, when you come and you have created a system that allows you to have that child, maybe you've made friends that you can, child pool and do childcare things together, or you found a nursery that's of a good price and all that good stuff, you can then bring that child in. You've saved a lot of money up, or a good amount of money up, that can cover some childcare costs and childcare fees. And yeah, just plan, prepare. Don't do it blind. Don't go into it without realizing what it entails. I had a good idea that childcare was going to be expensive, but honestly, when it really hits you, when that thing hits you, when I get the nursery bills, I'm just like, girl. Fortunately, though, the UK has decided to introduce free childcare hours for people, for children from the age of 0 upwards, which is really good. And that's going to kick into gear from September next year. So that's good news that I've got to share for you. So if you're planning to have a child, you might want to wait until then, or if you can afford it till then, you can pay for it. I think they're going to be offering 30 hours of childcare to every child from the age of 0 upwards. From next January or so, or April, it's going to be 20 hours for children from 9 months upwards. I don't know if I'm mixing it up, but I'm going to put the information on the screen just so you can get a clear picture. So yeah, that's that on childcare. It is not cheap. It is not for the faint-hearted. Oh my God, I need to even let you know. Do you know that you're paying per day for nursery, right? But if your child is sick and doesn't go, you still pay. If you're on holiday and your child doesn't go for like a week, you still pay, because you obviously have to secure their slots. So do you know how painful it is when your child has a runny nose and a bit of a temperature, and you're like, oh, I want to go to work, and you go and drop the child in nursery, and they're like, no, sorry, you have to take your child home. So you have to miss work for that day, potentially not get paid. Pay for nursery that the child was supposed to be in, but obviously they didn't let the child in. But because you need to secure their slots for subsequent days, you still have to pay. Welcome to our reality. Yeah, so I've had days where I wanted to take my baby in, but she wasn't very well, so I had to sit at home and be with her. Thankfully, my job is flexible. But then being at home with the baby, best believe you're not going to be getting much work done. Take it from me. Honestly, it's difficult, and thankfully I've got help around me. So when I know I really have a busy day at work, I will be getting people to help me out with her. But yeah, on a sick day with a baby at home, you might not get much work done. So the second thing, and I've sort of touched on it in the beginning, but the second thing is, you know how we say in Nigeria, it takes a community to raise a child. There ain't no community here. Everybody's minding their business. You mind your child, mind your business, mind whatever it is that you're doing. Don't look at the community. There is no community, unless you are fortunate enough to have a group of friends or your own little community of fellow, Nigerians or other people who sort of understand your culture and where you're from and how you would intend to raise your children. Then you can have people who will support you and other mommies who you can, rub minds with. But all that, I'm not going to worry too much because this person will help me out with telling the child this. No. You're doing everything by yourself. There is no family member that you can quickly call upon and say, oh, please come and stay with me for 1 week. I need support with my child. Nobody. Where my husband and I currently live, we don't have any family around us. So there's no aunties coming, no uncles. You know how we grew up and there was like lots of like family members around who helped with children. And it was almost like having children wasn't that much of a big deal, though I know it was. It's so much tougher now because you have to work to pay the bills, but then you still have to be present for this child because no one else is going to be there. I've had times where I had to leave work early to go and pick my daughter up from school because somehow our pick up and drop off plans got affected by one thing or the other, and it's just you and your partner trying to figure out picking up the child, dropping off the child, looking after the child, making sure the child is growing, making sure the child is alive, making sure the child does not hurt themselves, making sure the child, becomes a responsible individual in future, watching out for what they're doing when they're not at home, trying to communicate with them. It's crazy, and I don't blame people who end up not really having time to really look at their children's development, but it's your responsibility as a parent to make sure that you are keeping that child well grounded and that you know exactly what's going on with your child all round. So sadly, this is why lots of people don't want to have more than one or two or even no children in this day and age, because nobody be helping anybody, especially in the UK, in a foreign country, without any family, friends or help around you. So if you get the gist, keep your legs closed until you can guarantee you got help. All right. The next thing is balancing childcare. I don't know if you've seen the reel. I saw a reel on Instagram of someone who, I think the husband was going to work and the wife was just coming back, and they met at the train station and handed the children to each other. So it has to be like that, because unfortunately, you can't even have a one working person household in the UK right now, because cost of living is so high and these children are not cheap. And I've touched on childcare costs before, and I'm talking food, everything else, living in the house, keeping the house warm for them. Everything is so expensive that one person's income is not enough to sustain the family. So two people need to work, right? And a lot of the time, a lot of people are working around the clock. So the husband will work from 9 till whatever time, hand over the children to the wife to work from then till whenever. And see, a lot of marriages are suffering because of this. And I think the earlier people understand the reality of having children in the UK, because I feel like lots of people just are in a hurry to migrate, to move, and some of them already have children, or some get here and get pregnant immediately, or some come while pregnant. It's not going to be easy. It's so tough. And honestly, if you're prepared for that level of toughness, then please go ahead and do it. But my advice will be to just hang on. I think you need a bit of a break, a bit of time to like get yourself settled, get your feet grounded before you introduce any children into the equation, because it's not easy. It is not easy at all. I am even more privileged that I have family who travel around to come and see me every now and then. So every now and then I get a bit of respite. But even as at that, with one child, it is so stressful. And I'm thankful that I've got a really, really supportive partner, that I don't feel like I'm doing this on my own. There are some relationships and situations where the women do the majority of the job. And sadly, life has even just skewed the scale in that direction, where women end up doing most of the things anyways. And I'm just looking out for you women out there. If you know that you will end up doing a lot of the work, you end up doing a lot of the mental, emotional, physical work, just make sure that you hang on having those children there with you, or even giving birth to those children, because in some things you just have to be sensible in life. Fine, I understand that our culture is almost like you get married, you get pregnant immediately, you have a child immediately. I didn't do that, and it was against everything that everyone around me believed. But I didn't, and I survived, and they are fine, and they did not die. Okay? Don't put yourself in a pickle and think anyone will be there to rescue you. Nobody's going to rescue you in this UK. You will do it all by yourself. You will do it all by yourself, right? All by yourself. It's not easy, right? So the last thing I'm going to talk about is, when you have a child, your relationship with your partner is going to be completely different. And this is because you spend a lot of time looking after this child. You spend a lot of time trying to earn money to keep the household running. That if you forget, that you're actually in partnership with someone that brought you this child in the first place, you guys are just going to end up being strangers. And the worst thing you want to do is be strangers in a foreign land where you don't have friends, you don't have support, you don't have family. You guys want to hold on to each other and support each other all the way through. It might be a tough few years, but if you do it right and you do it in collaboration with your partner, it would hopefully turn out to be of great benefit in the future to both of you, especially for your marriage and for your future, your children's future, and just everything that you plan to achieve in the future. So just make sure that all these things, all these stresses, everything that comes with having a child while trying to make ends meet in the UK does not affect the relationship you have with your partner, because at the end of the day, that's the one person that you can really work in collaboration with. Everyone else will be like, well, who asked you to go get pregnant? Did we send you? Not our business. Really, not our business. Anywho's, thank you guys so much for stopping by this channel. If you have any questions about like what I've done so far, or how I've managed to, you know, cross some hurdles, or anything that I have not mentioned in this video pertaining to having a child and now being a working mom, please leave it in the comment section below. And don't forget, like I said, leave a thumbs up if you feel like this video has given you any insight into anything that has helped you, so that it can be seen by someone else who it might help as well. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.